All right, welcome everyone. It's time. It's finally time for the one we've all been talking about, anticipating of the live-action Disney remakes. It's The Little Mermaid. All right, and we're joined with a special guest today. It's Lauren, aka Gizmo's Game Room. What's going on?
Good. It's fun to finally join you guys. Talked about it for a while, so I'm happy to be on one of your shows.
Yeah, this is what we do with every movie that stars a female actress as the lead role. We always get a woman's perspective.
That's
Every
every
time.
single time.
Yeah.
This is every single time. So I guess this is what this is the first film we've ever reviewed with a female lead.
Too. We'll have to go back and read that one.
Right, we got to redo a lot of our reviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, I want to do something in the beginning before we say anything. Never do anything like this, but I want to do a quick vibe check. All right.
Okay.
So on the count of three, I want you guys to give me a thumbs down if you have mostly negative thoughts about this movie. Give me like a sideways if it's like meh, or thumbs up if it's mostly positive thoughts. I want to gauge where we're all at here.
Okay.
All right? So on the count of three, one,
Yeah.
2, 3. All right.
Okay.
Did you hear what you think?
I will say I actually I'm more like I'm like partway there, but there's enough stuff that kind of like sort of bothered me a little bit.
All right, here we go.
But,
I knew you would be
yeah.
the detractor, the negative Nancy of the group every time.
Well, look. I will say this. I mean, we were just talking before the show about things that make us cry. I will admit, I actually teared up a couple times in this movie. So if that's your gauge on anything, I don't know if that means much. I cry at like everything. So so that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but like, so I can't have hated it that much. Like, I didn't cry at like Dear Evan Hansen, and I didn't cry at like,
Words.
get out of here. Get out of here, Zach.
So I love this movie. I was like delightfully surprised.
Overall, I found it quite entertaining, and I would like to watch it again. I will say that.
I ended up seeing it twice. The first time was just regular going to the movie theaters, and the second time I saw it in 3D. And
Ooh.
it just so happened that the people that I was going with wanted to see it in 3D. And so, to be fair, I was really skeptical after the first time. I think if I only saw it once, I'd be about like here. I was pretty critical, but then seeing it again, especially in 3D, that's what sold me on it.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
That's really interesting. I don't, because I think I saw Avatar 2 in 3D recently. I don't even think I've even talked about that on the channel at all. And the experience was like less than ideal, I would say, because we didn't see it in IMAX, and the only way that you can see that film in 3D, Avatar was with the IMAX format. So we went to a normal movie theater, and it was like the 4:3 IMAX, so it was like weirdly letterboxed on the movie screen. So it was like, so that was like really off-putting it, like for the first like 20 minutes, and then eventually we just sort of got used to it. But and overall, that film was, it is what it is. It was beautiful to look at. I'm not overly enthused about everything else about it, but I enjoyed it. I'll probably go see Avatar 3 whenever that comes out. So anyway, that's cool. I don't know if that's playing in 3D anywhere near me, Little Mermaid. So
Yeah, for similar reasons, because I saw Avatar 2 in theaters in 3D also, and it had been probably a decade or more since I'd seen anything in 3D. But for the same reasons that I liked Avatar 2 in 3D, I liked The Little Mermaid in 3D. And it's because of the times where, she's floating through the water, the jellyfish, and just...
Well, I didn't even know it was playing in 3D, so that's kind of neat. If I don't know if I can even... Maybe it'll be playing at that one theater that played in 3D somewhere near me. I might like to try to go see it again in 3D. I definitely want to see it again. I feel like my consternation. I want to try to at least go again with a little bit more of an open mind. But I felt like I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt as much as I could, and
Really?
I did enjoy it more than I thought I was going to. Particularly seeing early previews for it, I was not overly enthused, and I'm still not overly enthused about the way Sebastian looks, the way Flounder looks. I don't like that. I don't like it at all.
I didn't either, but I found it actually less distracting in this movie than I thought it would be. And I was like,
well, it helps that Flounder is basically hardly in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Because he, in particular, Flounder is like he looks like he's seen something. He's like seen the face of God or something. He just looks horrified and it's awful. But he's like on screen for maybe like a minute total of the whole film. So it's
Rescue showed me just like videos and clips of them before I went and saw it, and I found it really off-putting. Just thinking over how I thought it would be distracting, because it almost gave me like nightmares. But once I got into the movie, I thought it flowed pretty well. I don't think if I was developing the movie, I would have chosen that design for them.
No.
Maybe something a little bit more cartoonish. I think people would have been flexible and willing to accept that, but I think they just tried to go a little bit too realistic.
And then we got mer people around here, so it's like
yeah.
I will say shout out to my girlfriend who was like, this was her most anticipated movie for a long time. She loves Halle Bailey, and I knew she was gonna love it regardless of it being good or not. I knew she was gonna love it. And so she's like, I want to hear your review on your review. I'm like, I don't know if you want to hear it. I don't know if I'll have good things to say about it. But it turns out I actually loved it. I thought Halle Bailey did an awesome job. I thought she really
she's absolutely the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think she was stunning the whole time through. She just embodied the character like better than I ever could have imagined.
I was gonna say the exact word, and she embodied and brought her perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I watched like a comparison of Part of Your World like through the years. I'm like, wow, her version is the best, and it's not even close in my mind. Like looking back.
So because I saw that same video, and the thing that I tried to go at that video more in terms of like, I think they're all amazing.
Right.
Like I think everyone who's done this role has brought something like different and unique to it. From I can't remember the first voice actress, Jodie Benson, I think. From her performance in the original film to Sierra Boggess on Broadway. I think everyone who's done this role has done a fantastic job, and like kind of come at it from a different angle. And I will say like her version definitely it feels the most like modern, which I guess makes sense. But like, she kills it. I mean, it's stunning. Like that's one of the moments I teared up was during the Part of Your World, which I knew I was going to, because I'd heard it before. I knew with all the visuals were just, everything was going to get to me, and it was gonna happen, and so it did. So that was.
And I mean, and we feel like that more than anything, they really reflected the original, like actually where that song is sung. It's very close to how the original looks.
I just wish the film wasn't so dark.
Yeah.
The film is so dark all the time. That was one thing that that's one thing that did sort of bother me about it, is that like there's moments that feel really nice and fun and bright, particularly like Under the Sea sequence, which I still hate how that starts, where she basically just like, it's so boring, and he's just like,
oh no,
I
forgot to mention when you first shared that to me, and you're like, oh, she just lays down on the rock. And I went back and watched the original.
She just lays down on the rock.
When I went back and watched the original, and what does she do? She lays down on the rock.
Yeah, but there's more going on in the scene. There's
more going on in the scene, but also notice in the movie, you see a lot more going on than what we actually saw in that clip. There's all actually fish and stuff doing things. In that clip we saw, there wasn't much. So.
Yeah, there wasn't much. So they did. It's almost like that was like a test footage rather than like, this is actually what happens in the movie. So it was better.
They incorporated the music at very opportune times, like. Even the new music that they incorporated, like Prince Eric's song, as soon as it started, because that was the first new song in the movie, I was really skeptical. But that one I really enjoyed. The one I didn't enjoy so much was the Scuttlebutt song.
Not the Scuttlebutt.
No one likes that song.
I almost walked out at the second time I saw it, because it
almost walked out.
I'm going to go get a refill or something. It's cringy.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. We've reviewed 2 of his musicals on here. We love that man, but please.
You can tell.
Someone Restrain him. Someone restrain him.
You could tell that was like straight out of Right Hand Man, like that little sequence
Oh,
where they were
totally.
rapping and syncing up. They had to get
But
V Diggs a moment to rap, you know. It's
I had to give David Diggs, and they also were like, "All right, we gotta give Aquafina a
Aquafina.
moment to rap because." But unfortunately, she also sang, and I love Aquafina, but like, please don't let her sing again. It's so
I see.
bad.
I didn't mind.
It's
I
so
didn't mind this.
terrible.
I didn't mind the song actually. I
It's-
thought it
oh
was.
no, I
I
can't.
didn't really. I hated the scuttlebutt as the hook, the scuttlebutt. But
That feels very Lin. That feels
Sing it
very.
right now.
but I
Gee.
I thought it was kind of cute though. I thought it was kind. I actually didn't like the Eric song though.
Really? Okay. So I'm like half and half. I was not overly crazy about the new music. I think Eric's song is good. I think it's a good piece of music. It was weird because like it felt like they were trying to go for an Evermore, which was the new song from Beauty and the Beast, which is just like I mean spectacular. It's the Beast song in that. It kind of felt like they were going for a moment like that, but it's like it just didn't quite for me anyway. It didn't quite land the highs there, but it was it's strange because it's like it just felt like it didn't really fit the movie, which is funny to say because the siren song is like constantly in the background during that. So it's like they're using like the old themes and then that they're sort of weaving it in with this new one, but I still felt like it didn't really belong in the movie.
And I like they really started to establish his character because in
Yes.
the original there was nothing to him. Like
Mhm.
he was just there was
Honestly.
nothing.
Yeah.
And so in
No.
this one, like they had his song, and then what I liked are the parallels between Prince Eric and Ariel of, feeling trapped in a castle and misunderstood, and then collecting things that aren't of your world. So he would
Mhm.
collect things from the voyages that he was on in the sea, and then she obviously had all of her trinkets and gadgets and gizmos, but they started showing the similarities between the two characters
Mm.
and why their love story fits and it works, where we had none of that before. It was just kind of like puppy love.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why, especially on the second time that I saw it, it solidified why I like the song because he then has a voice as well. And you can see like his desire to find this person that he is longing for because he's lonely as well. But
Yeah.
in general, like it doesn't have the nostalgia, right? It doesn't have any of that, those original ties.
Yeah, it can be tough I think. Because like for me the other two Beauty and the Beast songs, in the two new ones in that took a while for me to really kind of take a shine to those. Evermore was just like instantly I was like, no, this is gonna be a smash hit. Like this is an amazing song. It can be hard, I think, to sort of accept new things. I'm never gonna like Scuttlebutt. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That song is
Wait,
awful.
who say what? Come on.
You remember the song? A song I sang in the swamp?
Yeah.
Womp,
Yeah,
chicka, womp, womp, chicka, womp, womp.
You brought it up.
Please, someone hold this man
Okay,
back.
I really liked the song called For the First Time, the one where she lost her voice and she's singing that whole
Like in her
sequence
head.
there. Yeah, she's in her head. I really liked that song actually. I thought it was really catchy.
I like the sequence. I feel like I'm gonna need to watch it again. Because I like again, it was a thing where I was like I wasn't too crazy about it. I didn't think it was like bad, but I wasn't like it just didn't felt like it fit the rest of the tone of the movie. But I like the sequence a lot though. I like sort of her like kind of like wide-eyed wonderment of going through the whole thing.
I thought it really.
Go back.
Yeah.
No, I was like to go back to your point, Lauren, about the Eric stuff. That's actually one of my favorite parts about the movie as well, is fleshing him out because again back to parallels. He has a like his love he's entranced by the ocean, and she's entranced by land, and I just that's just such a cool fun dynamic. Like that is like the perfect stylings of a fairy tale right there. Like that's perfect. Those are the characters that you want to fall in love. And so like you're immediately from that you do immediately root for that love story to work and to happen.
And it gives them a purpose to like defy their parents, and like even him. I don't think he had parents like visible in the first one, but like his mom in this one, like it was very clear that there was a parent-child dynamic there, and they were both kind of going against their parents to fall in love and find each other. And so,
Mm.
um, yeah, it was interesting to see, but you do start to root for them. And it's something that I think is actually a pretty big miss in the original of like, but in a lot of the original Disney movies, quite frankly, of just
Oh
like the
yeah.
male lead and like his purpose for finding love or his just anything about him. So I was really happy with how they um, built up Eric in this movie.
Yeah. I was like, Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty has more going on with him than Eric does in the original Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
I
And
Um,
do
we
like his casting. I do like that actor.
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what else he's been in, but I really liked him a lot. I thought he
It's
was
the first
great.
time I've seen him.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought he was great. I will say I actually did like the whole cast. The thing that
Don't
I
you
saw a
dare.
clip of it early on. No.
Oh.
This is the thing. I was not expecting until I saw a clip. I was not expecting. I thought, oh, Melissa McCarthy casting. That seems like a casting 101. She was awesome.
He was awesome.
She was amazing. She was fantastic. I don't like Melissa McCarthy at all. She's amazing. She just totally embodied that. Talking about embodying, she was like, yeah, she was evil and loved it, and that's what I love about Ursula. So that's yeah.
Yeah.
It's also been a long time since she's been in something like memorable. I'm a big fan of
tell
Gilmore
her.
Girls, and so I remember her from that. But like, it's
Okay.
great to see her back.
Did you not see her in
And
Ghostbusters? I mean, come on.
didn't
Answer the
follow
call.
that. I didn't. But yeah, she did a great job in that role.
Yeah, I thought she was really fun. Even though like whatever she turned into, I could barely even see what she turned into at the end because it was so dark. You couldn't see anything.
Really bad play by her, by the way, turning into like a really huge slow thing. She could have just stayed
Yeah.
like small and been just as powerful, right? But she opted to be this huge thing that was her downfall.
Mm.
But yeah, she killed it, and it felt like fleshing out Eric was great. We would basically find out that he's like the perfect, most wholesome man in existence. Though he's like, I thought it was so funny how in this wedding that ends up happening that like none of their family like pay him any mind. Like how he's the most happy human being ever at all other times, and he's like got no smile on his face here, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be so great for you. I bet you're so excited," you know. And he's like, "Yeah, I guess."
Yeah, it was that was okay.
I asked like once or twice. It was the butler, and I can't remember
Hmm.
his name for some reason. But he asked like a couple times, like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, is this the right thing?" Because he saw how happy Eric was with Ariel for the last couple days.
Yeah.
2.5 days.
He's the only one who knew.
He saw the change, but yeah, he was the only one to seem to notice.
Yeah, what was I don't remember the I liked guess something, I don't know. It starts with a G, starts with a J, could start with a
Right.
P, I don't know. I can't remember his name. No, I really liked him. I liked the fact that he it was like when the ring comes off or whatever, or like he like drops the ring and he like kicks it away too. He's like helping him out. I'm like, oh, right. I like that. That was great.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
I think the worst parts of the movie for me are anytime we're underwater without Ursula. I think that's really boring to me, like King Triton stuff, and
Yeah, it was sort of. Javier Bardem is a great actor, but he was such a bore throughout the whole movie. I thought he was so dull, and because I expect him to be a lot more like, I don't know, like sort of have maybe a kind of jovial seriousness to him. Like, I mean, that's sort of how Triton was in the original a little bit.
he was just
But in
all
this, he's
serious.
just kind of, he was just all serious, all kind of brooding the whole time, and it's like, oh, okay.
Imagine
I guess I understand why Ariel doesn't wants to defy him, because he's kind of, not very nice.
Imagine going up to his daughter, who is a collector, basically, and smashing all her stuff and saying, "Don't go look for him again." The first thing that person's going to want to do is go collect more stuff. I got to get more stuff. Now you just wrecked all my stuff.
You just
Come on.
All of Sebastian's comments, though, like in response to like the harsh treatment that he got from the king, and like as soon as he would float away or swim away, he would comment on it of like, "I'm an educated like crustacean, I can find something else." And so just like all the cute little comments that he would make in response.
Yeah, I found it like him, David Diggs as Sebastian, at first I was like, I don't know, this just feels kind of like a knockoff of the original, but I feel like he really grew on me as the movie went on, and it was really worked for me by the end of it.
I agree. Actually, I would say that pretty much the same sort of feelings. One thing that was very distracting to me, I was like, okay, so all the mermaids, all the siren sisters were all multi ethnicity. So I was like, was Triton getting it on with? And apparently not. Apparently he wasn't getting it on with them because they say, "Oh, mother." So I'm like, how is this possible? I'm sorry, but how is this possible? You can't.
I mean,
it's inexplicable.
They're mer people.
It's magic,
so.
I guess. It's magic, I suppose.
They're mer people. How are mer people doing anything to begin with? Can you explain that to me?
Like fish, like the way fish do.
As fish do.
As fish do.
Well, these are magical fishes, so I think anything goes.
So they just have all ethnicity DNA within them.
Absolutely.
Apparently.
What I thought was interesting is because that to me like was distracting at first because I was trying to figure out like what's the dynamic here. Do they have like I don't know, just trying to understand a bit more about the families.
What's the sort of
But the interesting tie-in that they like all come together once a year, and it sounds like they all kind of reign over different parts of the ocean. So there's like 7 sections that they're all reigning over. So they tried to tie it in that way, that they all come together from their region once a year.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Ariel is just like in that region. Like that's her ocean with her dad.
She's the youngest, I guess.
So she hasn't like gone off on her own. But yeah, I noticed that as well.
I thought the whole scene when they were getting to know each other and when she had no voice, I thought that was really cute, actually. I liked that a lot.
My favorite scene in the whole movie, I think, right there. Where he even title drops too. My Little Mermaid.
Yeah. And remember, like she was like showing him how to blow on the horn, and Sebastian's like, "Okay, go get it, girl." I like that a lot.
Yeah, it is a really cute interaction. Like and good on her for just doing all of that with her expressions. So like, she played that part perfectly of just being coy and like playful and curious, and so she did a really good job.
So we have a comparison to make now, a very easy comparison. Who did it better, Zach? Her or the actress that they picked in to play Tinkerbell in Peter Pan and Wendy?
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But come on, I mean, it's night and day. We weren't getting a whole love story with Tinkerbell where she got to interact with someone. It was just shots of her face by itself in like no context. So obviously,
wanted one expression though from Tinkerbell.
Just one, smiling.
No, she had shock a couple times. That happened after you walked out. She started getting shocked.
I don't think I made it that far.
Oh boy.
But yeah, she did do that really well.
Yeah, no, I agree. That does take a it's a decent enough skill set. Like that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So
very charming, very charming.
Yeah, it was very charming. I agree.
And kiss the girl. Did you enjoy that?
It was a great sequence.
I love that.
It was a great sequence. I thought it was really good. This does delve into one thing that I do want to talk about, and that is we're changing lyrics around now.
We changed one
so
lyric.
We can't. They changed another one during Poor Unfortunate Souls, which is also another fantastic sequence, I will say.
It is.
Where I think it's like they changed the line where Ursula's like saying like, "Oh, well, I don't remember the exact lyric, but it's something like men don't like it when women talk, so like, close your mouth and just smile or something." I don't remember. I can't remember the exact thing. Basically, it was like her being like, "Yeah, well, you don't need a voice anyway because you're not supposed to talk because men don't like it when women talk too much anyway." But it's like, do we really need to change that lyric because it's the villain that's saying it? That was one thing, and then there's and I feel like they did a decent job of restraining themselves, but there's so much of these like modern Disney films to me that feel like, oh, we're sorry about the past, we were bad then, but we're better now, like in Kiss the Girl, where it's like, No, she's giving consent. We have to say the lyrics. She gives consent to kiss. Use your words, boy. Use your words. It's just like there's nothing in the song, which was written in 1989 by a gay man. There's nothing in the song that inherently that is contributing in any significant sort of way to telling somebody to not consent when it comes to relationships. Also, another thing that they changed was Ariel didn't have any memory alteration in the original film. She was just like, she was eager. She was just like, I want to kiss this boy the whole time. She's like, I want to kiss this man. And so she was trying to make it work for however she could. In this, they like make her forget that she's supposed to kiss him in order to get her voice back. And to me, that the problem that I have with that is that it takes some of like her kind of gumption and motivation to like get the guy. And I don't really like that so much because it's just like, well, then what's she doing? She's just kind of bumbling around and taking everything in. And don't get me wrong, Halle Bailey does an amazing job at that.
She does a good job of bumbling around like a fool.
She does a good job of bumbling around, wide-eyed.
One of the scenes, like when they're like, "Go, like get to know him," and she's asleep. So I do agree that that's a pretty big item to change, and I agree with your prior points too. Of they're trying to, I think, overcompensate for a lot of their choices years ago, and I don't think anyone's necessarily asking for them to compensate the way that they're compensating. So they're changing. I'd rather them just not change lyrics to original music and just roll with it. But everything's touchy and you have to play the game in a corporation that size as well. But I have a hard time with even just minor things, or I don't know, they seem minor to me and maybe they're not minor, but some of those design choices I think could have been left out. But I do think it takes away from like the sense of urgency that she has for making it work, and it changes a bit of the dynamic between Ariel and the prince.
Yeah, it makes her a little bit more passive, which is fine, but like I think part of what people fell in love with her in the original movie is the fact that she's not really a passive character. Like Eric of all people is the passive character in that story, and they make it a little bit more equal ways here because she kind of falls in love with him in kind of the way of getting to know him and being really entranced by everything he knows. He's been on voyages, he's entranced by the sea, and she just loves hearing him talk, and that's just like adorable. Like I love that sort of thing. But like it's just like that to me was sort of kind of bothering me throughout a lot of that, even though that was for the most part was like my favorite part of the movie, was that sort of second act or the sort of middle hour of the movie, I guess.
I don't mind it. I didn't mind it because her whole thing was she loved him, and that was what was pulling her to go on land and everything and want to have feet. And then when she gets there, she's just all about, she's living in the moment. She's just not going for the kiss. And I feel like that made for a lot of fun moments even earlier on where it seems like she's going for the kiss, but she wasn't, because it's not the first thing on her mind, She's trying to play this out like a little fun romance story, like drag it out like you would a normal romance, and they're like, come on, you're right there. So I feel like that makes a fun dynamic out of that, even if it is a different one. But
I guess that's fair.
Agree with that. I would say the saving grace of it is that she had so much like spunk and like while she was still under the sea trying to get like to Eric, and so like once she got on land, that's where you can soften it a bit. So if you're going to take any of like that out, I would do it after she's already gained the ability to walk on land and see him, and then you can play out the romance in a more innocent way. But her like ambition and her drive to do that has already been shown when she was under the sea.
Yeah.
To be fair, she was being playful about it, but she was straight up snuggling up to him on the boat. Like she was like, "All right, I'm fine with this. I'll be right next to him, all snuggled up." but it just didn't, you know. Obviously, of course, the moment where it just capsizes at the exact moment, and of course, as you know, when you miss that one kiss opportunity, it's gonna take weeks until you get another opportunity.
Yeah,
it's
it's
tough.
true. It happens like that way. Yeah.
True love's kiss, at least. You know.
Yeah. Why did Flotsam and Jetsam not talk? So we have all these other talking creatures, and I was wondering why Flotsam and Jetsam didn't have any sort of like creepy whispering to like convince Ariel to go to Ursula to begin with.
No.
It's to me there's a lot of like there's elements of it where it's like we want to make it more realistic. We want to make it more realistic. But then you have, as we sort of were talking about earlier, then you have realistic looking realistic, like Flounder and Sebastian, and they look kind of off-putting, and I would even say Scuttle to a degree too. And it just kind of is weird. To me, there's like, if you're going to go for a more realistic version of something like this, or whatever, however you want to necessarily call it, I look to Cinderella, where the mice in Cinderella, if you haven't seen it, don't talk. Jacques and whatever the other little guys are called, I don't remember.
Oh.
Gus, they don't talk. She just talks to them. None of them talk. They do have like maybe like a little bit of anthropomorphizing, but they don't talk throughout the whole movie. And so it's like, to me, it's like, okay, well, how slavish do you have to be to the original film? How much are you willing to change? Would it be a horrible, terrible sin to make it so that Flounder didn't talk? Sebastian maybe wasn't even a crab. Would that be too much? Would that be too much to change? It might be.
Yes.
But I was thinking maybe make him like, I don't know, like just a little guy. Like
a little guy.
Just a little guy. I don't know. And then
you know damn well that would give people more reason to hate on.
Yeah,
like,
it would give people more reason to hate it. You took Sebastian from
and you
us.
replaced him with a gnome with a tail.
With the gnome.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just parts about it where I sometimes think about like it. Maybe that's sometimes to the detriment of the film that they're following it so closely.
So a line change here and there is not too bad. Not too bad.
That's what I mean. The things that they pick to change are ones that feel like are like giant question marks to me. Sometimes it's like
I'll say it again. I really love the song when it was in her head. I thought that actually gave a lot of personality to the character. Like it breathed some life into this movie and set it apart a little bit. Maybe it wasn't as memorable for other people, but I really enjoyed it. I've listened back to it a couple times since then.
Yeah, I'll give it another shot when I see the movie again. Because I probably will.
Lyrics?
What's that?
I think the actual lyrics from that song like don't stand out as much to me, but I like the way that they showed basically she's thinking constantly, she's interacting with everything. So I like the way that they incorporated it into the scene in the market. Like I don't know that I could go back and listen to it without seeing the visuals, because I like how like they at least tied to everything she was seeing or experiencing, and the fire that she was burned for the first time, all of that. So I like the way that they at least were able to portray her thoughts.
I loved
experiencing all
I love that little scene where she eats the flower. Just a little moment like that. It's fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that stuff was cute. Her in the market, I thought that was all that stuff was really fun.
And that's again
she,
credit to her. I think she really embodied the character really well in that scene.
Yeah, sort of back to that point. I think thinking back now on that song, what was it? Is it for the first time? Is that what you're saying?
For the first time, yeah.
Yeah. So thinking back on that now, I'm trying to think. There aren't really a whole lot of narrative. So Little Mermaid is, for lack of really a better comparison, is basically just an animated Broadway show. So you have your when it comes to most Broadway songs, you can categorize most of the songs in two sort of different camps. One is I'm going to sing to the crowd and tell you about how I'm feeling. The other one is the song is going to progress the plot in some way. There's sometimes a little interplay in between those, but I think you can, for the most part, kind of categorize a lot of Broadway songs in both parts. Most of the Little Mermaid's original songs are the former. I'm going to stop the movie to tell you how I feel. Which is fine. Yeah. I mean, Part of Your World is literally the movie doesn't work without that, and which is crazy because if you know anything about the creation of the Little Mermaid, I think it was Jeffrey Katzenberg was basically like, we need to take that whole song out of the movie. We don't need this song. We don't need to tell the kids. The kids aren't smart enough to figure that out anyway. And Howard Ashman was like, you idiot. This has to be in here because this is the entire soul of the movie. We are not cutting it out. And then like in test screenings, it was like the reaction to everyone were like, all the little kids were like enraptured. And then finally he had to be like, okay, I get it now. It's like, good. But I actually really like the fact that thinking about it, it's like that song really works because it is like progressing kind of, it is sort of telling you how she feels, but it's like you're really getting like her kind of really finally like understanding like, oh, this is like how the world actually is now that I'm really seeing it and experiencing it. And so you kind of get a nice like blend of both of those things in the song because a lot of stuff is happening and she's getting clothes put on her for the first time, like I have to put on a corset and this is uncomfortable. And
I feel like that whole sequence doesn't work without that song because she has no voice, so it's in her head.
Yeah,
but so it would just be like her silently doing all these things. There's no like that's so much charm to it. Anything else?
Nitpick that I had. Why does that whole boat start on fire?
That was kind of crazy.
That I was like, okay. Well, all right. Now I know a little thing about sailing. I know a little thing about boats and oceans. So they do coat like a lot of like in the age of sail. They would coat the decks with oils and stuff to make it more water resistant. So it makes sense that some of it would start on fire. For the entire thing during a complete and utter deluge of rain, for the entire boat to just combust and start on fire was like crazy. I was like, what's going on? What are you guys? You carrying something down the hold? Or like what was that? So anyway, that was just one thing that immediately I was like, it's raining and there's water like washing over the deck and that fire's not going out. But anyway.
It's like that. Like even so after Eric's mom basically told him, you can't go on any more voyages. I don't want you out on boats anymore. There was a second kind of scene going through like just a verse or two of his song again. And then he's on a boat. He's on the ship and he's like flying around the ship. And it's like in the last scene, he was just told he wasn't allowed to go on a ship and do any more voyages. Yet everyone's allowed him to like... He wasn't supposed to leave the castle. He wasn't allowed to have a carriage. And then in this song, he's just like on a rope and hanging from the top of the ship. So just a couple of those things didn't really line up with the editing. I think they probably filmed it all at the same time, then stuck that part in. So I get like going back to the song, but for them to put him back on the ship after that conversation that was very direct with his mom was just like a little bit of a...
Yeah, if I could change the edit, I would probably make it so that he ends the song where it like fades from him on the ship back to him on the shore. Because it's clear, it's like it seems to me that it's like, oh, it's like him imagining himself back out there. But then the song ends with him on a ship, and I was like, oh, I guess he's just out traveling again. That's what I thought too. And then it was like, oh no, actually he is still on land. And that was kind of weird and strange that they did that.
If they can make it seem like it was a memory or like a thought or a dream, like they muffled that entire song for Ariel to make it known that it was not her physically singing but in her head. So like, I don't know, fade the edges or do something or have him looking at the ship as it goes by or something just to make it clear that it's in like his imagination or what he's dreaming of. But none of that.
That was a little funny. Thoughts on Eric not getting the final blow? He doesn't get the final blow on Ursula. You can't have a man actually do anything in one of these movies. You gotta have the woman do it.
To be fair, I thought it was kind of silly just watching him out there. It's like, this is just a normal dude out here fighting this huge creature. Like, he got him way over his head. Like, from the whole sequence in the wedding where there's just like this crazy stuff happening in front of him, and then this huge creature. Like, he's just like, okay, I'm on board. I mean, I love her. Whatever. You know, it's a lot to take in one moment. Like when she got her voice back in that whole sequence, I'm like, geez.
He's out of his element, but he tried. He really tried.
I think that just is a new theme with Disney, which I have a lot of thoughts about.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it?
There's times where I think it shows the progression of a female lead, and there's times when I think we just can't let a man take care of a woman anymore in a movie, and it's just the distinction. So like where I had a really hard time in watching Mulan, there was no progression in her character. She didn't have to, in my opinion, she didn't really have to develop and fight. She just
Mhm.
started out as a hero, and that's what I didn't like about that movie. And Mulan's one of my favorite movies because of the progression, the struggle. She wasn't able to carry all the water up the hill the first time around, but she fought to be there and her have her place at the table with the men. And that's why she's a hero, because she's gone through adversity. It's part of one of the songs. And so I'm okay with this one, I think, because Ariel did have more of a struggle than Mulan did in her live action movie, but I do think it's just Disney making a point of showing strong women, but there's also a time to be like to allow your spouse to have their moment of growth. And a marriage and a relationship's about protecting each other, and I think there's a time and a place for both. And so I didn't have a hard time with this one, but I don't like the theme that it has to happen every time the same way. And it's kind of just boring that they're always going to do that. And
Mhm.
so you can anticipate that the female's always going to have the last word or the last blow. And so I don't love that as a trend for Disney. But
Well,
Here's the thing I like about Cinderella. It didn't change anything about that story other than making Prince Charming a lot more interesting.
mm,
So I will say that that's another bonus for Cinderella's court.
actually,
Yeah, I mean, like I it's okay. It's okay for I think I think it's fine to have like the trope of the strong female lead has become so like it's actually become like its own like boring rote sort of thing where it's like you said Mulan I think is the perfect example, a movie which I famously and regret giving a higher score than I think it really deserved. The just because I like the tone more than I actually like the actual movie, and that's more why I liked it. um, it's okay for a man to take care of a woman sometimes. It's okay, guys. It's also okay for a woman to take care of a man sometimes. It's okay for both of these things to coexist.
Mhm.
I just it's just kind of like this is like oh yeah again, but to their credit, they still made this like a love story. I think I've even mentioned on the channel sometimes, or it's like it's okay, guys. It's okay to have a love story. It's nice. It's like beautiful to have. It's good to have a yeah. And they didn't shy away from like any of that aspect of it. Like it felt like it was great.
And they showed Eric in a very positive light, for sure.
They did.
I
Yeah, he
will
wasn't like a
say,
bumbling idiot.
I will say,
No.
Lauren, you would have loved the end of Peter Pan and Wendy. I wish you stuck it out.
I don't know.
No, you would not have. It was shameful. It was not great. But
Back to that one. But what I'd liked is like I like what you said is you can have both, right? And
yeah,
those things happen at different points in a relationship. So when Ariel didn't have a voice and she was at her weakest, more or less, like you see him really taking care of her, explaining things to her, like
Mhm.
feeding into the curiosities that she has, like when she might be getting too close to fire or curling her hair with a fork. Like he really starts to protect her. And so when she needs it and she's vulnerable, but when she gains her strength and Eric's very vulnerable against the sea witch, right?
yeah,
Like she can come in and use her strengths then where it pairs well with his weaknesses, and then she comes in to save him. So it's not just a blanket like every single time she's going to save him. It's the balance of they complement each other and their strengths and
yeah.
their weaknesses, which is what I like specifically about this movie. That because I also really like the Mulan movie. I had a hard time with the character development or lack thereof, and so
There wasn't
um,
any.
no,
Girls
and
get it
so
done, okay,
yeah,
guys.
that was the
Just
whole
figure it
thing
out.
pretty much, and so I feel like I need to go back and watch Cinderella now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's great.
I did pick up on that too.
So another thing that I wanted to also talk about before we sort of wrap up here, I like the framing of the story, like starting with a quote from Hans Christian Andersen. about like a mermaid doesn't cry. Therefore her suffering is greater. Or whatever the exact quote is. And then having her cry at the end, I thought that was such a beautiful like framing device. I was like, that was great. Why haven't they done that in anything before? That was beautiful. Like, I love stuff like that when movies do things like that.
Yeah.
It might be like maybe like on the nose, but like for me, stuff like that works really really well. So I love that.
Really pick up on the bookends there, but it is a nice touch because
Yeah.
it's strange to have it start out as a quote. Like I really liked it. It's just unusual for Disney movies, and so it's a nice bookend at the end, having her cry. And the only time I thought I was gonna cry is when like she had that moment at the end with her dad.
Oh, yeah, that was the part I cried. I was like,
Absolutely
that was so
accepting.
good.
Yeah.
Because like that's like to me, that's I don't remember the animated film that well, but I almost felt like there's not quite a moment like that at the end where they sort of like come to that resolution with each other. And I thought that was just so good because every girl that I've ever known that I've basically when I dated my ex, she told me, and I have since found out that this is apparently true. Every girl has their own Disney princess, and hers was Ariel, and a lot of that stemmed. This might be a red flag for me from now on, but a lot of that stemmed with her relationship with her dad was not particularly good. There was a lot of friction in that sort of relationship. So having that come to like a positive sort of resolution in the end, where he like accepts her and she sort of accepts him, like I thought that was so good. I loved that, and I loved the fact that this is sort of tying back into another thing. I know you probably want. I'll give time to respond. One thing that bothered me when Ariel and Eric kiss for the first time is it plays his theme, and I was like, we're not playing Part of Your World, we're playing his theme, and I thought that was very strange. But then, because I thought that was like they were kind of wrap the movie up there, but then it kept going, and then we finally wrap up when we sort of have the reprise of the cue back to Part of Your World there, and it makes so much more sense to sort of bridge it to have the ending be there. With that moment, I thought that was so good because she's kind of accepting now that she'll always still have a tie to the ocean, but like now she's sort of accepting that she's sacrificing that to be with the man she loves. So that's great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed all aspects of that because like I have a very close relationship with my dad, and so there were three kind of key moments between them. So I mean the fighting and all of the conflict that led up to it, but the one was when her dad basically like is revived, and she, instead of like going and hugging him, like she respects him, understands they had conflict, and she like hands him the trident and was basically like, you sacrificed yourself, and then he said, you saved me. So it was like one of those things that they're both fighting for the relationship, and so it's interesting to see of like neither one of them is just willing to walk away because it's love and family runs really deep. And so that one I thought was powerful. The second was when she was on the rock and looking at the shore, and he was going back and forth with Sebastian, and he's like, I wish I could make her happy. And he's like, well, you haven't tried everything. And then he made the decision really without talking to her, but knowing that that's what she wanted, of giving her back her legs. And like basically at that point he made the decision of like, I'm theoretically losing my daughter. Like she's not going to be swimming under the water with me anymore. She's going to have this beautiful life that she chose. And then the third is when she's solidified that with her marriage, and he goes and like sends her off and says, we're good. We're not going anywhere. Go have your life, and we're here when you come back. So I thought those three iterations of their relationship post all the conflict was just a really beautiful way to wrap it up and like solidify that relationship.
Her line, "Thank you for hearing me," also was like,
And I was like, if I'm gonna cry, it's gonna be at this line.
Alec, that didn't make you cry in Peter Pan and Wendy when Tinkerbell said that to Wendy at the end?
No, it did not. I wanted
Same
to
exact line.
Tinkerbell.
Thank you
It
for
was
hearing
the
me.
same line. It was the same line. But it was the same line, but it was so much more. It was actually powerful in this because it made sense in this context. Because like that's right. A lot of that comes from like the conflict from. I mean, like a lot of young people can relate to that their parents don't listen to them or their parents don't understand them.
Right.
And you know, a lot of it. It's interesting because like that's. I feel like that storytelling like trope is so overplayed at this point. It's like it wasn't necessarily like a new thing for in 1989 when the movie first came out, but having that sort of like conflict play out the way it did in the original movie, it just made a lot of sense. But like having it sort of come to the resolution of like just having kind of a nice like nod to parents to be like, yeah, like it's okay to have your ways, but eventually you do have to come to a. And obviously, I'm not a parent, so I can only just say it based on what I know of what my parents have done and how they parented me, and that's just eventually you do have to come to that, like, you know, you should always listen to your kids, understand where they're coming from, and you know, lay your foot down when you need to, but let them go when you need to as well. So,
and he, I mean, every decision he made throughout the movie was to protect her and how he felt he needed to protect her. So there's a
like
balance
destroying all our things.
Well,
I was gonna say that.
yeah. That would stop her from getting hurt, like her mom, you know, passed away. And so it's interesting then because the way that he responds to her saying, like, thank you for hearing me, he said something along the lines, not verbatim, but like, sorry it took you losing your voice for me to hear you or to listen.
Another great response. It's like
it's just like
that's the crux of the whole movie.
It's like,
Yeah.
so good. But
Yeah, I was gonna say if you ever want to win your child over, don't go destroy their video game collection. That's not the way to do it. That's how it feels.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Like, okay, thank you, thank you. So you literally disrespect everything that I tell you I value, and so now I'm gonna start from the beginning. But yeah. So Alec, what score do you give The Little Mermaid 2023?
This is really tough for me. I think I had a lower score probably in mind before we started talking about it, and then realized that I think I liked it even more than I thought I liked it.
Give me a thumbs up on
it's still kind of like there's still some things that again, if I see it again, I'm probably going to come back with a bigger score. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This has been one of the best. This is I think I originally was thinking maybe 7. I'm a whole point higher. Look at that. Look at what discussion has done.
Very nice.
But like honestly, I almost feel like that entire whole point was just from the fact that the new songs were kind of and I really, 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 really don't like that Scuttlebutt song.
I'm gonna bring up Scuttlebutt in every video we do from here on out.
What's the Scuttlebutt, Zach?
Yeah.
That's gonna be our new show that we have called Scuttlebutt. That'll be our podcast name now.
Yeah.
Scuttlebutt. Yeah.
Lauren, what score do you give it?
yeah, I think after the first time I was around like a 7 as well, but I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Nice.
Very good.
I would also give it an 8.5. All right. I also think it's worth mentioning that I think if I ever didn't think there was like a need for representation, I feel like seeing this movie, seeing how much like my girlfriend, who's a black woman, how much she loves Halle Bailey, how much it meant to her, and seeing like the reactions when it was first revealed to like young black girls seeing like the new Ariel, I think that's really important too. Like seeing how much my girlfriend loves Tiana, it's like her favorite Disney princess, and now she loves Halle Bailey and she loves this Ariel. It's like, yeah, that's important, and she did an amazing job of embodying that character. And Melissa McCarthy, even knowing from day one it's gonna be Melissa McCarthy, she killed it. And yeah, I was just like delightfully surprised because I really wanted to like it, but I was like, you know, the trend of these live action Disney movies is not good. It's not been giving me any faith in that. So
it's been very poor showing. I mean, I don't think I've liked one since Aladdin. and I almost feel like I'm kind of alone, and I just don't talk to a lot of people. I don't know a lot of people that have seen it, but
Yeah.
I don't know anyone's general reaction to that. Did we review that for the channel? I don't even remember.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
okay.
So when I came
we
out of the
need to-
theaters from this one, I was like, this is firmly top 3 live action Disney remakes from what I've seen, at least. It's like between this, Beauty and the Beast, and The Jungle Book for me. So
Really? Lion King's not in there?
no.
no, no. It says Zach. I that's one I haven't seen. That was weird because we had Rusty on. I think that was the first one we did.
You didn't see it when you guys
And-
recorded?
No, I didn't see it. I think that was like I think I was like so busy
The
with
most
work or something.
iconic Disney movie.
I know. I hadn't seen the live action remake. I don't know.
Good.
But-
I think that's certainly in my top 3. And then
not
I,
mine.
that was not. It was not popular. I will say your husband did not much like it. I don't think. Does not like it so much. Did they? I think they announced the. I think they announced a prequel to it.
Yeah,
recently
Mufasa.
too. Mufasa. So, which is interesting. But anyway.
Anyway, so what's that Tarqaron score look like?
Boy, I don't know. How do you average
20,
that?
is that 25 divided by 3? 8.33. That's where we're
something
at.
like that. It's something like that. I think.
I think it's a Tarqaron score 8.33. All right.
Yeah.
You'll see the score on the screen, whatever it is. Not too shabby. That's by far the highest of any live-action Disney remake we've had to date on this channel.
But it's unfortunate because I think this movie is going to lose money.
Really?
Kind of wild to say.
How?
I think it's going to lose money. So it's not doing well overseas at all.
The last I saw,
markets,
I saw a headline like a week ago that said it's at 205 million out of a 233 million budget, and you telling me it didn't make up that money?
with marketing costs, it needs to make I think around 600 million to break even. And it's going to struggle to beat that because it is not doing well overseas. Japan might help a little bit, but China and South Korea both like flopped really, really hard.
That's insane to me. This has the most buzz of any live action Disney movie I've ever seen.
I will say some of the if you thought some of the racially insensitive comments were bad over here, you should not do any translation work on anything in China, because they don't like that very much.
Shout out to them.
That's why it's flopping. Really, it's kind of sad.
we saw it advertised in Japan as well. So it was like
Yeah.
hotel that it was advertised. And so I don't know what it's looking like over there so far, but
Yeah, so it hasn't opened. I think that's this weekend it opens Japan.
Oh,
So
weekend.
because they have like weird times. Like I think John Wick 3 isn't even, or 4 whatever isn't opening until like
It's taking a while.
August or something in
It's taking us
Japan.
a while to get it over there, huh?
It takes a while for some reason. Yeah, they got to take it by boat to get it over there.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a shame if that's the case. I really would be surprised. I would be surprised because I've heard so much people talking about it, or like there was so much hype leading up to. I purposely didn't look at a lot of what people were saying about it just so I could go into it fresh. But I know at least so many people were talking about it leading up to it. Wow. So I guess we'll see how it shakes up when all is said and done. But yeah.
I mean, I hope it can at least, even though it does have Lin-Manuel Miranda's worst song in the movie.
So, because it's like I'm mixed about it because at the same time I don't want to necessarily encourage more live action remakes from Disney, but I want this one to be rewarded for being better than most of the other ones. So
I mean, I would too, but I don't know. I don't know what the end game is for them. I don't know like what they do to reassess like why did this movie not do well. Like I don't know what messages they're going to take from it if it doesn't end up breaking even. So
you guys
because
can
like
go and watch it in 3D, and that will help boost the numbers.
you boost the numbers. You got to boost the
We'll
sales
see it
up.
3
There you
more
go.
times.
yeah.
Do 3 more times in theaters.
I definitely
Yeah,
wouldn't
I'm
mind
gonna
seeing it
save the movie. Yeah, no, I mean like my mom said that she wanted to see it, so which surprised me a little bit, but
If nothing
because
else,
like that, This
Yeah.
isn't one of the ones that we had a VHS of growing up. I only saw it like a couple of times, really, like total the original. So
Yeah.
um,
I don't know if I ever saw the movie in its entirety. I know obviously a lot of the iconic, all the songs and stuff like that, but
where's Le Poisson? Where's that song?
see, I don't even know what that is.
That's the song. So a chef is like murdering a bunch of fish, and like him and Sebastian have like a little like tete-a-tete sort of in it, and it's weird. It doesn't belong. It would not belong in this movie. I'll say this does not belong in this live action movie.
I think if nothing else, this movie as a live action remake will stand the test of time as like a unique one. Like it'll give people a reason to watch this by itself because it's got enough to set it apart.
I think that's kind of my thoughts on like Beauty and the Beast as well. I think that was the thing that I really liked about that is fleshing out the sort of the mythology a little bit. And I guess that is ultimately what I liked about this, fleshing out Eric. You know, you're saving Eric, really, like if you think about it that way. So, yeah.
All right, bravo.
All right. Well, cool.
Of course, you know Rusty can only be here when we're miserable. So
yeah.
He joins us for the miserable ones.
Maybe I should be harsher.
Yeah. But you get well, he liked Lady and the Tramp, and he also liked Cruella, I think, if memory serves.
Oh, that was such a good movie.
They both loved it, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like it so much.
Should have had them both on. It would have balanced the score out a little more.
Yeah, it would have balanced the score out. Because like I like the second third of that movie, or the third of the movie that is basically just The Devil Wears Prada. I was like, if the whole movie was just this, I would probably have given it like a 9. I loved all that stuff, but then everything else I just didn't. But I will laud that movie for trying something a little different. It was pretty off the wall. So
it was not really necessarily a kids movie.
No, not at all.
I think that's also what I liked about it. It was something different.
Yeah.
It didn't have any songs specific to kids like Scuttlebutt.
Gotta have the Scuttlebutt. Have you not heard about it? All right. Lauren, is there some place you would like to plug for our viewers to find you?
You can find me on either Instagram or Twitter under Gizmo's Game Room. So I just restarted my Instagram, so come find me.
Very nice.
Japan pics and things.
Probably gonna post some of those. So
yeah,
I won't necessarily flood it, but we had a lot of fun, and we went to go and see like the Ghibli Museum and a couple other things that we'll probably post about on there.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I mean, I've heard Rusty's perspective that he loved that trip so much. It's some of the best days of his life, I've heard. So is it the same for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to travel over there for work quite often. So it wasn't my first time over to Japan, but I love it there. And so I got to explore cities that I had never seen before, get to take him to my favorite parts of Tokyo, see some old friends that still live in Japan. And so yeah, we just had a great 2 weeks. If I could hop on a plane and go back today, I would.
Awesome.
Yeah. I commented, I think I commented on one of your stories being like, I'm like trying to live vicariously through you guys. Like it was, I really enjoyed
a lot, but
yeah. No, I loved it. I loved especially how you guys kept going back to crane games.
Yeah.
Because one of my, I guess a weird plug to Sea-Dog VA. He does like crane games with a bunch of other big YouTubers and stuff that like are in Japan, and he does like competitions with them. And crane game stuff is just so much fun to me. So
it's like addicting. Like they're everywhere there, and you'll see people of all ages. Like you'll see kids alone or on dates or with their grandparents. You'll see like businessmen in suits playing crane games. Like it's everyone. It's just part of the culture. And Rusty, my husband, just started getting really lucky with it. So he kept winning all these. Yeah, he has some strategy to it too. But those, I think they're rigged.
Learning from Theodore.
Yeah, he got a bunch of little Kirby's. So now we have I'm in his game room, but we have a bunch of a whole Kirby shelf now.
Yes.
And yeah, he got really lucky. So we had to figure out how to get them all back home, but
well,
it took us a little bit in our suitcases. But yeah, it was a great trip.
Nice.
Happy we went.
Well, Alec and I are
Cool.
going next week, so I'll let you know how it goes. No biggie.
I wish if I could afford that, I 100% would go and do that.
For sure.
Go work. Work is killing me right now.
To be fair, the food is much cheaper over there, and
It
it's
is.
fresh. You don't tip. I think the biggest bowl of ramen we got was like $7. And
Yeah. It's crazy. The yen is weak right now too, so you guys also went to a really good time to go visit. So
60% of like $1 right now.
Yeah.
So once you get over there, it's not so bad.
right.
It's just
Yeah.
kind of going there.
It's also just finding time too. I get a vacation
Oh, yeah.
time.
I know. I just, if I had the time, I would be there tomorrow. You know, that's what it's all. That's what it's all about for me. All right. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, if our viewers enjoyed this video, what video should they watch next, Lauren? Can you think of one video from our channel?
Does it need to be a live action?
No,
Or can it be
any
a different-
video?
Could be literally anything.
I'm going to say just start from the beginning on all of the Survivor videos because that's been really fun to rewatch and
Nice.
relive. I'm a huge Survivor fan, and so it's always fun to hear your perspective and especially Alec, you experiencing it for the first time and live reacting to some of like the greatest highlights. So there's a couple seasons where I want you guys to review so I can see how you respond to a few things that happen, but no spoilers there. But yeah, certainly all the Survivor and then maybe Lion King. So
All right, check them out.
watch it.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and if you do, we'll be sure to read it in the next episode of the Tarqaron podcast. All right, hit the notification bell and click the link in the description for our social media. All right.
All right.